Well, we're going to talk about the Calgary Flames, of course. Tonight in the NHL, I wrote it down, 9 games, including the Calgary Flames at the Pittsburgh Penguins. And what is it, the 5th in a row the Flames are going after? I want to welcome Brendan Parker to the program from Calgary Flames TV. He formerly of Global Calgary. And Brendan, if I may, I hope you're thoroughly enjoying these times for the Calgary Flames right now for what it's been like in your time there. Man, they must be geeked up. Are you enjoying this as much as anybody?
Absolutely. How can you not? It's been fun. And you know, it's interesting because, we all know how last year looked in the National Hockey League. And so this year, you know, first opportunity to get down across the border in, 500 plus days, closer to 600 days. And I think everybody's enjoying it. I think everybody's loving seeing some different teams again, kind of getting a little bit back to normal, playing in full buildings again. And then when you start adding winning on top of that, yeah, how can you not enjoy it?
For sure. Calgary at Pittsburgh tonight. The Penguins have had their ups and downs. They got thumped by Tampa the other night. But I'm interested in what the Flames are saying, Brendan, as to why they're on this hot run. For instance, when's the last time they've been on a winning streak this long?
Well, last year they didn't have any win streak longer than 3 games. So this one already tops anything they had last year. And we were just looking at the stat. From a road perspective alone, the Calgary Flames have not won or swept a road series or a road trip of 5 games or more since 2007. And it's only happened the one time. So back in December of 2007, that was the last time they put together a streak like this on the road. So a chance tonight to kind of join some exclusive company in franchise history with 5 straight wins. But yeah, last year, that was one of this team's problems, was stringing wins together, and it was never more than 3. So if you look through a 56-game schedule and you're only playing the same, Canadian teams the entire season, if you're not stringing together more than 3 wins, you're obviously, speaks to why you end up on the outside looking in for playoffs. But now you've kind of put that together early on this season. They've emphasized the starts. They've wanted to be a better team at the start of the year instead of chasing all season long. And I think, I don't know what you would constitute a start, but this is, 6 games in, probably constitutes a start. And now you're on the good side. You're not chasing anymore. So now you have to keep it rolling.
Well, I could talk to you about this all day because they went up to Edmonton and lost in the first game. Lost at home to Anaheim in the home opener. And then they haven't lost since. I just sensed that the heat was getting hot after that Ducks game, and then boom, you haven't lost since. Like, you've been covering this team a long time. You know the game, Brendan. What is going right for the Calgary Flames right now?
You know what it is to me that stands out the most, and we watched it last year in person, obviously, and in previous years. To me, it's the team that it's showing up ready to play, the entire group. And even in those couple of games at the start of the year, obviously, you lose in Edmonton, and that's gonna draw some ire for fans. But you lose against Anaheim as well. But there's good things in place, and you can say that early on in a year, and eventually that runs old. But I think what you're seeing now is they're kind of delivering on that. They come into games, they've had leads in every single game on this road trip, but more than that, they've just played well. They've come ready to play every single game so far this season. And yeah, in 2 of those, it didn't work out in the end. But for the most part, they've come and been exactly what you would expect from a Daryl Sutter-led team. And I think one of the things that he talked about right at the start of the year was honesty. Like, let's be an honest, hardworking team. And everybody will talk about identity, and that's kind of that buzzword. But what does it really mean? I think that's kind of actually what you're seeing starting to form here, is that this team's going to come in and they're going to work every single night. And if you're not going to work, you're not going to win. And so far on this road trip, no matter what the situation is, no matter if you give up 3 goals in the second period and lose a 3-goal lead to Washington, the work has never quit. And so if you're going to come in and put in honest work every single night, you're going to have a chance. And I think that's, to me, the biggest thing that's coming out of this win streak and this road trip is the fact that, they're going to be a handful for teams to handle this year. And physically, the work, the forecheck, there's some big boys on this team too. And I think right now that's one thing that's standing out is the work ethic and just the way that they're kind of going about it right now, the mindset.
Well, I've been thinking about it a lot and examining it a lot. I assume Daryl was trying to do this last year when he came in halfway through the season after Jeff Ward was fired. Did it take the summer and a reset? Because he did it in LA, right? Got dropped in there and won a Stanley Cup the same year. Didn't happen in Calgary. Did something change over the summer and they were able to start fresh from day one of training camp? You know what I'm saying? Because it is Sutter hockey, but they weren't doing it last year when Daryl showed up.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think maybe we started to see a little bit of it at the tail end of last year, but the season was already gone by that point. It was almost like it didn't really matter, what results you have, because, I think at the end of the day, if you're going to miss the playoffs and you're already out of the playoffs, like if you go back and look at those, final few games against Vancouver, everyone will call it kind of garbage time at that point. It doesn't have as much meanings. But I do think that you were starting to see little elements of it. But the biggest thing for me, and we've heard it right from the start, even actually at the end of last year, Daryl talked about the conditioning. It was kind of coming in with that, with a starting point that was at the standard he needed to see. And it's tough to do that mid-season, especially in that condensed 56-game schedule. So now I think it is part of the offseason. You go away. Everybody was kind of delivered that same message that we need to come back. We need to be in great shape physically, mentally, and be ready to go. And right from day one of camp, I know this is kind of that Daryl Sutter MO. You're not going to skate in training camp. You're not going to get the Zamboni out. We're not going to be out there 90 minutes. We're going to get out there for work 40, 45 minutes in training camp. Practices these days are, 20 minutes or in that range. But when we're out there, we're working, we're skating. Everything is done with pace. They did that right from day one of training camp. And I think that's what you're starting to see where the biggest difference is right now. Everybody came in, they delivered what their offseason goals were, and now they're kind of seeing the fruits of the labor right now in the early part of the year. Now, we got to continue it. There's obviously things to build on, but I think they're playing more like a group. They're playing more like a team. If you watch them come out of their own zone, it's cohesive for the most part. So I think that's where we're starting to see the benefits for sure. They're playing faster throughout the lineup.
Yeah, and they're kind of a team, if you're a Flames fan, I think that you can be proud of. And like you say, it just needs to continue. Cindy Girl is watching in Pittsburgh. She says, sorry, Brendan, I think your winning streak is going to end tonight when you meet the Penguins. That's from Cindy Girl in Pittsburgh. Ryan McCarthy is watching in Saratoga, New York. He says, Mangiapane is doing wonders on my fantasy hockey squad right now. I got to ask you, there will be no Sidney Crosby tonight for the Pittsburgh Penguins. What effect do you think that'll have on the game?
Yeah, it's a good question. It came up a couple times. He'd skated the last couple of days. So we went and watched Mike Sullivan's press conference this morning, curious to see if he'd get in, and he's not. And sometimes, it's funny because you get a guy back, and obviously you'd think one of the best players in the world, Sidney Crosby, or the best in the eyes of many, that it'd obviously be a huge plus to their team. But, you've also seen some of those times where sometimes all these guys who've had to, play a little above their roles and work a little harder, pull by the strings kind of thing. When they get a guy back, maybe they defer a little bit. So I was kind of curious to see what that affected. Obviously, we're not going to get that opportunity. Crosby's not going to play tonight. But, the list of guys that they have out right now is unbelievable. And Letang and Malkin and Rust and Crosby. Dumoulin. It's a laundry list of guys, and we actually we had a chance to talk to Brian Burke this morning, and he just said that it's been incredible just the way that everybody else, and I tried to ask him, who's maybe been the guy that stepped up, more so in those absences, or who are the few guys, and he said it's been everybody. It's every single person that if you look at their scoring, they're getting it from everywhere. They're a hardworking team. And that's kind of what you're going to expect tonight. So yeah, obviously from a spectator standpoint, you kind of sometimes you just want to see Sidney Crosby play in person. That's selfishly, But as a Flames fan, I think you're probably happy he's going to miss one more at least and maybe not debut until Saturday. But I don't know that it's going to change anything. This team's had success against good teams in the league without all of those guys. And Casey DeSmith starts tonight. So I think that's kind of what you're going to expect. This is going to be one of those games that's going to be a one on the boards, the battles, and if you can win more battles than you lose, you're probably going to have a pretty good chance to win tonight.
Brendan, are you a Calgary kid? I don't know if I ever asked you that or if I knew that.
Saskatoon.
Come on!
Saskatchewan boy.
How about
I'm
that?
sorry, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Mm-hmm.
By the way, I've been waiting long for this invite here, and now we're finally getting it going. I got to be in Pittsburgh to do it, eh?
Clark, come on. How about that? Hey, well, listen, we got to do it more. But Brendan, here's the reason I ask. I was in Edmonton, and I was listening to the Flames or the Oilers broadcast going into that Hockey Night in Canada Battle of Alberta, and they're all, Sutter's going to come in here and try and run us out of the rink, and he's going to play Sutter hockey, but we're going to beat him on the power play and burn him. And it was kind of what happened that night. I think it was a 5-2 final, right? And the Oilers had 2 power play goals. Are they right that this is basically goon hockey? Maybe that's a strong term, but I saw Lou Cheech in the first period getting in a dust up in Detroit at the start of this road trip. Are they right? Is that the blueprint of this Calgary Flames team?
I mean, you could see how that might come up just based on some of the personnel, but not at all. I don't think they'll lose many fights this year if it gets into that point. But I don't think it's about the goon style. I think it's about the tone setting. I mean, they're going to get in on the forecheck. They're going to be hard, and every line has some guys like that. Your first line is Lindholm and Kachuk and Johnny, but every element, they're never going to shy away from the fight. But it's not about over physicality. I think it's just about playing tough hockey in terms of the forecheck, grinding you down, making sure you finish checks. And yeah, sure, Edmonton's always going to have you're going to have that element of the quick transition back the other way, and you got to be careful of that. But I don't think it's about running guys out of the rink. It's just making sure that you're physical and you're strong when you need to be, and that's right from the start of games. That's what we've seen right now. And again, it's not about highlight reel hits or anything like that. We've seen a couple of fights from Lucic this year, but if you go down the lineup, they're all capable of it. But it's just about being strong when you have to be in front of the net. Nobody's going to be getting space for free in front of that net. And I think that's the one thing I will say about that Edmonton game. You saw at one point Jesse Puljujärvi get kind of, he ran into Jacob Markstrom, and it was a shorthanded situation for the Flames at that point. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but all 4 guys on the ice went after him. And I think that's kind of the tone you're talking about, is that, when they need to be, they're going to be there. They're going to protect their players. And like I said, they're not going to lose any fights or many fights this year as a group. They're strong, they're tough, but it's about the physical play on the forecheck and making sure you're strong there.
Bingo. Well, I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Flames at Pittsburgh. I appreciate the time. I sure hope we can do it more, Brendan, and I'm glad that it's going so well for you. Been watching all the time. Thanks for this today, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, guys. Hope to catch up soon.
Brendan Parker from Calgary Flames TV. And be careful what you wish for, because I'd like to make him a regular. He's good. He's a good one. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.